Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Saints didn't win the gold on Saturday. They did win their preseason opener. Sean Fazende been out west covering the Saints for Fox 8. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sean, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. You still out in Cali?
Yeah.
Are you sick of it yet?
We're back from Arizona. We're here in, I guess technically this is Newport Beach where we're staying at right now. But no, not sick of it. No. I like it. The weather's pretty good out here.
That's what I hear. I can't relate. Okay, was there one takeaway that was most impactful from Saturday's game?
I would say the realest thing, or the thing that translated the most, that I think could have a tangible impact the most from practice to game, was the pass rush promise, the activity in the front seven on defense. I mean, that's been real all camp. And when you see, look, they didn't go against the starting quarterback. We know that. So you don't get too far ahead of yourself. But it was good to see that translate from practice to game, because that doesn't always happen. And I just think they've invested so much in that group up front. They need to start seeing the fruits of that labor a little bit. And I think you saw that, and not just with the front four, but also the linebackers as well. The linebacker group has had a really fantastic camp as well. So that's probably the realest thing I saw. I mean, there's other things certainly to like and dislike, but the most tangible thing that I think can translate potentially to big things in regular season was that.
Which players would you point to that would have the biggest impact in pass rush and being disruptive up front that maybe didn't have as much of an impact last year?
Well, I mean, 99 wasn't here last year.
Nope.
So he's the one. He's the one, because, I mean, yeah, you saw him. Look at him. I mean, he looks the part. Certainly plays the part. I don't know if he had an official stat, but he was active Saturday night. He's been fantastic in camp. And I said this earlier in camp. We're so accustomed to a star player, an injury diagnosis later that we didn't necessarily know about, and that player having a delayed timeline based on the projected timeline. It always gets delayed. Well, in his case, it was the exact opposite. He came back earlier than expected, and he's been fantastic at camp. So he's the one for me, because he wasn't there last year. And then you look at Carl Granderson. He's been probably one of the more underrated players on the team, but he's very active up front. And then Bresee had a good rookie year, especially towards the end, but I thought he was very active as well Saturday, and that certainly contributes to pass rush as well. It's really about that front four getting that pass rush. So you don't have to commit to blitzing quite as much with that, in certain situations. So that's what they're gunning for. That's what they're hoping for.
Yeah, Bresee was a positive on my sheet as I was watching the game and talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. Let's go to the offensive side. Did you make anything of the new look offense under Clint Kubiak, or did it appear to be pretty vanilla to you?
I saw nothing.
Yep,
because,
that's what
frankly, that was absolutely nothing from what we've seen in camp for the 14 practices. This offense is based off play action. It's based off wide zone. It's based off motion and shifting. I saw one outside zone play, the very first play of the game. One very, very simple motion from Foster Moreau. I'm talking about the first 9 snaps that Derek Carr was in the game. And then there was one play action. That was the screen pass that they dirted to Alvin Kamara. So that was as watered down and as vanilla as you could get, because I don't even know if that's in the regular season playbook based off of what I saw the first 9 snaps. So that was absolutely nothing compared to what they were doing in the first 13, 14 practices we were able to see.
On the negative side of my ledger, just too many big misses for Trevor Penning for me. What did you see from the big right tackle?
A little up and down. I don't like the idea that he's getting beat through power sometimes. Power bull rush. It looks like he's losing some leverage under his pads. That's a concern for me, considering some of those guys he's going up against were a little bit lighter than him. That's certainly a concern. I think he's pretty fluid in the run game, and it's always been a part of his game. I think the team is still kind of up and down with him in terms of where they stand. They want him to win that job. They want him to take that job. They want him to be someone they can count on. But, I mean, there are some issues that he has still that he's got to work through. I didn't think it was an awful performance by Trevor, but I do think there's still some issues he's got to clean up. And I think that's still a concern as you get into the third year with the guy that, this is kind of his last shot as they move over to right tackle.
What is the plan B there if he just can't do it?
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
an issue because I don't know if the plan B is on the roster if that's the case because there's still some legit concerns on offensive line depth, which is a concern throughout the NFL. All 32 NFL teams aren't enough quality NFL offensive linemen, first team and second team, honestly. So that's an issue. Landon Young has been playing some right tackle. Ali Udo can pick out some right tackle as well. So that's an issue. So if they determine they cannot depend on him, I think they're going to have to look at some options that may or may not be on the roster at this point.
Number 3 wide receiver has been a battle that we've kind of had an eye on. What did you see from the wide receiving core on Saturday?
Well, look, I think A.C. Perry helped himself. He had a really slow start to camp. Last, call it 6 practices or so, and plus Saturday's game, I think he helped himself kind of reintroduce himself back to the wide receiver room. And he had a lot of opportunity because they were so down in that room right now, just with sheer numbers, down to 6 wide receivers. I mean, you only have 12 and 13 in a preseason game. I don't know if he's the true 3. I think he's battling for the 3. For me, the number 3 is Cedric Wilson. I just think from a blocking standpoint, he's fantastic, and he's a veteran, kind of the veteran of that group, and that's a real young core right there at receivers. So I think Cedric Wilson right now would be in the lead for 3. But I think A.T. Perry kind of comfortably put himself back in the mix, probably for the number 4 spot. And then based off certain personnel groupings and situations, see how much he would get from a snap standpoint. So I think right now that's you probably honing in on at that 3 position. It's Wilson and A.T. Perry.
Sean Fazende, our guest, talking Saints. Backup quarterback's always a fun discussion this time of year because the starter spends a lot of time on the sideline. What did you see from Haener and Rattler?
That was a continuation of the Thursday's practice, where it's very spirited between both those guys. Both those guys got a 2-minute drill. Both those guys let them down to touchdowns. Both those guys were very animated after, and that's a real battle. I mean, both those guys really did well, and both of them we all saw they led the 2-minute drill. Haener gets the field goal towards the end of the half. Obviously Rattler at the end of the game, he gets the field goal. Leads him down to get the field goal to close out the game. But both those guys had issues. I mean, look, Rattler started hot, and then those middle 2 or 3 drives, there were some issues there, just kind of getting through his reads. I thought Haener early on was a little quick through his reads, flying through them, and it kind of jumbled him up in his processing a little bit. I thought he got better as the game went on. So it's a legit battle. I mean, I think you see arm talent-wise, it's Rattler, but I think you see why Haener's made this a battle because he kind of understands the system. He processes pretty well. So I think it's going to come down to the wire. Probably one more preseason game, you'll probably see those roles flip in the next preseason game. Let Rattler go with the 2s and Haener go with the 3s, depending on the practice rotation, probably for the next game. So I think it's been a pretty fun battle, though.
We got the announcement today that there will be no joint practices, a little banged up in San Francisco. So what was this week supposed to look like, and now what will it look like for New Orleans?
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be the joint practices Thursday, Friday, so they'll get back on the practice field tomorrow, go Tuesday through Friday, probably go a little lighter on Friday as they travel Saturday. So, look, it's been a pretty physical camp. I mean, the beautiful surroundings are fantastic, and the weather's fantastic, but don't lose sight of the fact it's been a really physical camp. A lot of padded practices. They've gone at it in camp here, so I would expect nothing less this week. But it's tough to not get those joint practices in because a lot of those guys get a lot out of it. And in San Francisco, they're obviously a very well-respected team in the NFL. But not going to happen. If you recall, last year happened the same thing with Houston.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Chris? Houston? Yeah, DeMeco Ryans, his team got a little banged up, Saints too. So they had that second wave of joint practice they were supposed to have with Houston got called off as well. So not unprecedented, but it's tough to not get that joint work in.
Any injury updates over the last 48 hours? We've kind of been looking at the same guys for a couple of weeks. Is there anybody that looks like they're close to getting back?
We'll probably get a little more of an update tomorrow. Yeah. I'm really curious to see about Werner getting back at the linebackers. There's some soft tissue guys that's been a concern out here because I think some guys have been a little low to look at a false sense of security with the perfect temperatures and maybe not necessarily doing the hydration thing as much as they should. I think that's caught up to a few guys here. So you're at, for a couple guys, just like a guy like Kendre Miller. I mean, he hasn't practiced yet. It's time for him to get back on the field. Shaheed, kind of know what he brings, but it'd be nice to get him back. DeMario's a veteran. I don't necessarily need to see a whole lot from DeMario, but his presence certainly matters. So we'll see. Hopefully a couple of those guys can get back. A guy like Bo Beam, in the receiver room, I mean, he's got to battle for a roster spot. He's got to get back on the field as well. So we'll get a clearer update on Tuesday.
Sean, we appreciate the time.
All right, no problem.
He's Sean Fazende, Fox 8 down in New Orleans. Been out there whole time with the black and gold and will remain out there until they come back to South Louisiana. So it was going to be a great opportunity for New Orleans to get out there and get some joint practice in with San Francisco. He's got such a great roster and great depth. That would have been good for the Saints, but unfortunately San Francisco is just too beat up to do it. So Saints will put their traditional training camp practices together by themselves and get ready for another preseason game this weekend. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.